Hello, hello, hello. I know I have taken a bit of an unannounced sabbatical, but I'm happy to tell you that Your Hippie Sister Builds is back. I have some videos for you that I worked on over the spring, but I had to take a little break for my own mental health. So you'll notice that my hair in these videos is a little bit shorter than it is now because some time has passed. But I hope you enjoy them. And this first one is going to be about making a box. I really enjoyed this project and I'm happy that I'm finally getting this footage to you. So this is going to be a two-part series. I did not intend for it to be, but this always happens where there's just so much good information that I want to share with you guys. And I don't like to edit out a lot of it. So this turned into a two-parter, but I hope you enjoy. And without further ado, let's get started. Hey guys, we have a reasonably quick build this week. What I am going to be building is a box, kind of like a little treasure boxy kind of thing. Maybe like a big cigar box. I don't know. I just want to fulfill sort of a childhoodish fantasy of having like a little treasure box. I have this really beautiful wood that I bought, and I'll be completely honest, I bought this wood to make a picture frame for some local Texas art that I bought. But I like to go to this place that's actually just called Lumber Supply here in Austin, or Wood Supply, something like that. I'll look it up and link it. Here in Austin, it has a lot of like exotic type woods. It's where I get like my Purple Heart and my padauk and walnut, and just, you know, like wood that you can't necessarily find at Home Depot or Lowe's. That's a little bit more exotic. Now at this place, you buy the wood by the board foot. So it comes in like really big sections of wood, or cuts of wood or whatever, and then you have to break it down yourself. Now the nice thing about that is that it's cheaper than buying like a 2x4 that's already pre-cut, pre-planed. All of that of the same wood would be much more expensive. So it's a little more labor intensive, but it's cheaper. So again, I bought this wood because I wanted to make a picture frame out of it, but I also bought it because I really love padauk and I knew I wanted to do some more projects with it. So without further ado, here it is, this big, huge, long piece of wood that is, I don't even know how many board feet, but it is really beautiful, y'all. Like the color of it is sort of a reddish pink. It's got good grain, this particular piece that I picked out. So I decided to make my treasure box with it. So I'm gonna have to break it down. I'm gonna show you how we're gonna do that. We're gonna start on the miter saw, and we're gonna cut it, like I have the dimensions, and I drew them out very professionally on this board. This is what we call in the shop engineering. So what we did is we figured out the size of the box that we wanted, which is going to be about 12 by 8. And then we figured out the dimensions of the different pieces that we would need. And then the biggest piece that we could get out of this particular piece of wood, because it's not just really long, it's also very thick. It is about 2 to 3 inches thick. My dogs are making an appearance now. Hey, come here, come here. Hold, please. The inmates have escaped from the prison. Let me go put them up real so these dogs are going to force me and my husband, who are both neurodivergent, gonna force us to have to learn to actually shut doors all the way. If you know, you know. Anyway, so not only is this piece of wood very long, but it is also like 2 inches or 3 inches thick. Let me see. Yeah, this sucker is 2 inches thick. So we want to cut it into about, if I remember right, about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch sections. So that's how much the sections of the wood will be once we get them cut down. We're gonna end up cutting them down into 2 12-inch pieces from the original big piece of board. And then we are gonna break those down into smaller pieces that will eventually be the walls of the box. And I'll show you how we're gonna do all of this. We're gonna start on the miter saw, and then to get the two 12-inch pieces cut, and then we're gonna move over to the table saw to break them down. Now, typically, you would actually, it would be more recommended to use a bandsaw to break it down wood in this way, but we tried that with padauk in the first project that we made with it, which was a recipe box for my parents, which I'll put a little sneak or a little peek in here. This was before I was filming, so I really wish I had filmed this project for you guys, but I didn't. And anyway, it was another reason why I knew I wanted to make something out of this padauk, because that recipe box turned out so pretty. So anyway, we tried breaking down the padauk on the bandsaw, but this padauk is such a hard wood that the bandsaw couldn't fight the grain, and it wouldn't cut it in a straight line no matter what we did. So we actually ended up wasting probably like $10 worth of wood by doing that. So we figured out that doing it on the table saw, while a little bit more cumbersome, will actually be strong enough to like fight the hardness of the padauk. So without further ado, let's get started. Oh, also, husband is going to be making some appearances in this video, I have no doubt, because I have what I consider to be a very healthy fear of machines in the shop. And I have figured out that really like structures down into having fear of things that can turn wood into a projectile. So the miter saw I'm not so much scared of, even though it can chop your fingers off. But like the table saw and the router and even the drill press a little bit. But I'm most scared of the table saw because I have actually seen people get hurt with one. So yes, husband will probably be making some appearances to help me get past my fear. We're gonna be using the table saw. Full disclosure, this is the piece of equipment that I am the most afraid of. But I'm gonna kind of walk you through how you use it and what you do. Wave hi to the people. Okay, so the table saw. There's lots of things going on here. This is our beautiful piece of wood that we just cut on the miter saw. These are some fences that we put up for like extra safety because I'm scared of things. This is the underside of the table saw. Now this crank, you're probably never gonna actually see me use except for right now, but this is what moves the blade up and down, okay? So like I'm cranking it and the blade is going down. I crank it this way and the blade is going up. This is the fence. The fence moves back and forth and actually has a pretty handy little measurement whoop-de-doo here. But the fence moves back and forth. So you set this to be the length or width that you are trying to cut your piece of wood. Now, generally speaking, most people use a table saw to cut things like plywood that you see behind me, big, flat, thin. What we're going to be doing is going to be a little bit different than that because we are going to be breaking something down vertically instead of horizontally. So our margin here with the fence is going to be very small because we are going to be cutting this piece of wood down its length. We want this to be 1/2 inch. So generally what I do is move our little whoop-de-doo to generally about where I want it to be, which is about there. And then I come in with my tape measure and measure it, which all this stuff is in the way. And I am a little bit persnickety, but here we are, we're at 1/2 inch. So I just like to double check it, lock it down with the little handle. I'll show you in a minute. Just double check it, and I kind of double check it at different widths on the blade, just to make sure we're really getting the 1/2 inch that I want. And then, like I said, you lock it down with this nice guy. Our fence is pretty new. It's pretty good as far as like not moving very much. But on our old table saw, I would put the fence in place and then triple check the width of the blade to make sure I'm getting what I want. Now, this is another fence that you can use in situations like what we are going to be doing here right now to hold that board in place as well. And I'll show you in just a minute how we do that. I went ahead and put the blade back down because the way that we're going to set up our fence here, we're just basically going to put our board right where it is. And then these guys, I'm trying to get in here at an angle where you can see what I'm doing. But basically what you do is you come in here, I'm gonna take all these fences off. There we go. Okay, so we got our piece of wood up against the fence, and then we come in here with this fence on the opposite side, and it's actually magnetized, so you turn these nice little knobs here, and then it becomes like super duper, it is on there, it's not coming off, so that when the board goes through, it is a lot more stable since we are ripping it vertically instead of horizontally. It'll make sense. And then these guys, very fun, go on here, the brain, let's see, make sure I'm putting these on here correctly. I think, yeah, this one goes this way. And what this essentially does is it's a little bit more security than is probably necessary, but because I'm so scared of the table saw, this is what we're doing. Or because I have my fear of the table saw. But these fences have these teeth that are flexible. So as you're, yeah, that's right, this goes this way. So as you're feeding the piece of wood in, it's flexible this way. But if the wood tried to kick back at you, because something that I should have mentioned earlier is the way the table saw works, the blade is actually spinning towards you because you are pushing the wood this way. If the wood was spinning away from you, it would essentially grab your piece of wood and shoot it like a rocket because, you know, like how are you going to stop it from doing that? So it is a push-pull situation is how this machine is actually achieving the cut that you're going for. So what this does is you set this in place, lock it down, which is a little difficult to do one-handed, so I'll do it two-handed off camera. But what these teeth do is once the board gets past a certain point, as the machine is naturally trying to push it back at you, these teeth will catch and create friction and make it more difficult, not impossible, for the board to kick back, but a little bit more difficult and would at least give you time to get out of the way. Because another important safety thing about the table saw is if the board does try to kick back at you, for whatever reason, if you get into that kind of bind, your hands at that point are null and void. They are not doing anything worthwhile. Like, you're not going to be able to beat the machine at kicking something back at you with your hands. That's the number one reason why when you're using the table saw, you push away from your body always, all the time, to the point that when you're using a table saw alone and you don't have somebody to catch your board on the other side, you literally just, the safest thing to do is to push your board until it falls off the end. If you're worried about it breaking, this is not the right tool for the job, because safety always first. So what you're seeing me do while I'm using the table saw to make these cuts in the wood is that I did not start with the blade at its full height. It actually works a lot better and treats your wood better, works more efficiently, you get less burn. If you start with just a couple of inches of blade, make your cut, make your first pass, raise the blade a couple more inches, make the next pass, and so on until you get to the full height that you want your cut to be when you're working with really thick pieces of wood like this. Well, lovely people, we have run into some technical difficulty because the table saw that we are currently using to break down this particular piece of padauk, the blade will not go high enough to cut all the way through, which is a super bummer. The table saw that we used to break down the last piece of padauk we had, I believe the blade would get higher. It was at a place called Assembly here in Austin, and yeah, there's not really much else to say about that. So we might have to be continued this until we get back up to Assembly, but I will show you what I'm talking about. And Brian, husband, already cut on it a little bit, but you can see right here, this space right here is like solid all the way through the piece. So we were not able to successfully break that down on the table saw like we had hoped, but I think we might have some workaround here in the shape of a hand blade. So continue, husband of mine.
Did an alright job.
I have like the best husband ever. I wanted to take a moment to speak to you guys in reference to some historic events that have happened here in the U.S. What I'm referring to is the June 24th decision by the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn Roe versus Wade. As you all know, we are located here in Austin, Texas, one of the most conservative and restrictive states when it comes to women's access to health care. And I just wanted to take a moment to let you know that we do and will continue to stand for and fight for women's reproductive rights here in Texas. I have put a link in the description if you'd like to go and donate to Planned Parenthood of Texas and find out how you can help the cause. And now back to your regularly scheduled programming. Just He-Man it. Rip it in half like the Hulk. I'm just kidding.
Pretty much where we are, actually. The cuts just aren't lining up.
Right now the board is saying, release me. Yay! Look at this pretty wood. Isn't it gorgeous? I can't wait to make a box out of it. Hi y'all, we are up here at Austin Assembly, formerly known as Hackerspace, because we needed to use the planer to get our padauk wood nice and flat and get off those hard edges from where we had to break the wood down. So now our boards are nice and clean and flat. Look how pretty, they've even got a little shine. And then got this one little extra that was the really damaged piece. We'll do some fun with those. And the edge is all nice and clean. So next we're gonna be assembling the box. Thank you for watching. Y'all come back now.